Okay, well, good morning to all of you who join us today from Brazil, and good afternoon to those of you in the UK and in continental Europe. Our webinar today is about the STEM Education Hub, a new and exciting collaboration between the King's College London Brazil Institute and the British Council in Brazil. The STEM Education Hub is an initiative that aims to build partnerships and collaboration between educators and researchers across Brazil and the United Kingdom, with a focus on STEM education. For those of us who are not in education, STEM education means educating students in 4 specific disciplines, namely science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, hence STEM. So with so much to be exchanged between the UK and Brazil, the STEM Education Hub is to be praised for stimulating cooperation between the two countries in STEM education research, training, and innovation, with the very essential objective of promoting high quality education for everyone. The hub, which was launched in January 2021, is based at King's College Brazil Institute and is a partnership between King's College London and the British Council in Brazil. It also has several partners in both countries who contribute to the hub with ideas and running events and other activities, as we will hear today. We are lucky to have with us today Dr. Arthur Galamba, Senior Teaching Fellow in Science Education at King's College London, at the Faculty of Social Science and Public Policy, and the Brazil Institute of King's College London, amongst other divisions of the university. And Dr. Galamba will be talking to us about the hub's activities, challenges, and other matters. Before Dr. Galamba starts, in terms of housekeeping, I would like to note the following. One, that this webinar is being recorded, and the recording of this session will be posted at the Chamber's website, on our YouTube channel, and social media platforms in the next few days. So you will have access to the contents of Dr. Galamba's presentation. If you do not wish to appear in the recording, then please keep your camera switched off during the whole webinar. Also, please keep your microphones muted during the session. We will have a Q&A session, so please raise your hand and wait for your turn to speak. And then when it is your turn, obviously, please unmute your mic. We also have a chat box, so please feel free to use the chat box and to make comments and to ask questions during our meeting of today. So with that said, now I would like to ask Dr. Galamba to please start our works today.
Thank you very much, Vera. Thank you for the introduction. I'm not muted. Am I muted? No, I don't think I am. No, I'm fine. Okay. So thank you very much, Vera, again for the introduction. And good afternoon, everyone here in the UK, and good morning for everyone in Brazil. I'm very, very happy really for joining the Brazilian Chamber of Commerce for the UK, and would like really to express my special gratitude, first of all, to Anthony Pereira and Vera Ines for the trust and indication of my name. I really do hope that I can make some contributions to the Chamber's aims. So, my name is Arthur Galamba. I'm from Recife, Brazil. I'm graduated in physics and have a master's in cognitive psychology from Universidade Federal de Pernambuco and a PhD in education from University of Leeds in the UK. So I've been doing research and working in teacher education since 2014 in London. So I want to say too that I'm so thankful for the invitation to present to the chamber for the first time. In my presentation today, I will explain what the STEM Education Hub is, our aims and ambitions, how you can get involved and support us. I'll also give you my views on past and current issues in science education in England and on teacher education and how the ITE programs, the initial teacher education programs in England, that I think are very relevant to the Brazilian context today. So I think I will talk for about half an hour, 30 minutes. So bear with me, please, and take note of questions that you want to ask. I think it's very important that we follow up my presentation with a more open conversation. Okay. So the creation of the hub is the result of a dream to support collaborative research and education activities in STEM education between Brazil and the UK. So it all started in 2018 when I shared this dream with Luis Serral from British Council, who supported the idea and helped me to develop it. So the hub embraces all activities in STEM education and seeks to build a balanced contribution between educators from the two countries. Now, I really want to emphasize that the hub is not a new colonial project, and in fact, it enthusiastically embraces decolonizing practices in higher education. So, with the immense support from Anthony Pereira and Vinicius de Carvalho from the School of Global Affairs, the STEM Education Hub was then created, as Vera already said, in 2019. And in partnership with King's College London and British Council Brazil. The British Council funds and provides invaluable administrative and strategic support to the hub. I mean, honestly, it would be very difficult to have achieved everything that we have achieved already this year without the support from the British Council. I am personally very grateful for everything they've done. And also to King's and to the King's Brazil Institute. They've been so supportive and kind, giving feeding the hub with new ideas and how we could move forward. I'm also thankful to the School of Education Communication Society at King's that was very supportive. Beatrice Reed, who is like the head of school, was again very supportive. So thank you to all of you. Now, the hub is anchored at the King's Brazil Institute, as Vera already mentioned. And we need to say that the King's Brazil Institute is a very special institute at King's. It was created about 10 years ago, and it provides a sort of focal point for Brazil-related activities across a range of academic disciplines. So we are very proud to belong to King's Brazil Institute, and I believe that it will grow in scope, attract more people from Brazil and other countries to reflect about social, historical, cultural issues that relate to Brazil. We have a website. We are very proud of this. And you can find out more about our STEM Education Hub in our website at stemeducationhub.co.uk. Don't access the link right now because I want you to stay here with me, but please take note of it and browse it and find out more about what we do in terms of our aims, activities, past and future events, resources, and partners. So the hub seeks to serve our STEM education community by organizing seminars, roundtables, mini courses, publishing ebooks, supporting mobility when we can have mobility, of course, and growth in Brazil-UK network. So this year already, into 2021, we had the launch event with 2 webinars, and in the following months we had so much already. We had a workshop on capital science, a seminar on critical pedagogies, a mini course on girls in STEM. I will talk about them a little bit more in a minute, okay? And until November this year, we should have one more roundtable on citizen science and a seminar on environmental education. We constantly consult our partners about which areas they would like the hub to give more support to. And I'm very proud to say that the hub currently gives special attention to issues related to democracy, citizenship, sustainable development, equity, gender inclusion, and race in STEM. I'm also very, very proud to state that we have a number of partners in Brazil and the UK. So in the UK, the hub has partners such as University of Cambridge, Open University, University of East London, UCL, University of Oxford, and the Science Museum Group. And several outstanding universities in Brazil too, like University of São Paulo, Unesp, PUC do Rio Grande do Sul, Universidade Federal do Amazonas, and Universidade Federal de Pernambuco, Mundo Amanhã, amongst others. So we are really building a strong team around STEM education, and we are super proud of it. Just to give you a flavor of our activities that we have already successfully organized and carried out this year. So the hub organized the Girls in STEM mini course, which was led by Dr. Jess Hamer from the Institute of Physics, based here in London, and 2 other colleagues, Dr. Jenny Search and Esther Mender. This was a very exciting project, as you can imagine, ran over 80 weeks, so 2 months, and involved 24 leaders of 12 projects working to incentivize and widen the participation of girls in STEM subjects across Brazil. The call for the course received over 170 applications from all 5 regions of Brazil. It's interesting for everyone who is listening to me right now to think about the amount of work, energy, thinking that has been put in place in different regions of Brazil to improve STEM education and to build a more inclusive society. 170 applications, a lot, and we could only select 12 of them. Obviously, all the material that has been produced that can be used by teachers to work in classrooms in Brazil is going to be available in our website, and we do encourage teachers here in the UK and in Brazil to access this material. The material, everything that we do in the hub is bilingual. So in these presentations, we have translators translating from and to English, from and to Portuguese, so that we can have easily international collaborations, because there is no language barrier anymore. And this was an immense achievement to establish this international program. We also organized a roundtable on Science Capital. Another very exciting event consisted of presentations by experts from the Franz Crick Institute, Museu da Vida, and Open University. It's important to mention that many of the universities that are involved with the hub, they are involved through Brazilian researchers who work here in the UK. We are still growing network, but everyone, the Brazilians who belong to the diaspora, the Brazilian diaspora, are really making an immense contribution to the hub. I'm very thankful to all the contributions. So in this roundtable, we had interactive sessions led by Museu da Vida in Brazil and Science Museum Group in the UK, in the spirit of balanced collaboration between the 2 sides that I mentioned before. They aim to provide practical insights, particularities for teachers and educators in Brazil and the UK. So The UK and Brazilian contexts were explored, of course, and the way in which the pandemic has affected this relationship was also examined. So we had a very fruitful discussion, and feedback from those who have attended have been overwhelmingly positive. Okay. More recently, we had a seminar. This one, I'm very proud to say that I organized this one myself. A seminar on the challenges to implement critical pedagogies in STEM education. This was a 2-day series of seminar which aimed to support STEM teachers to develop and implement critical pedagogies in classrooms. This is like an immense challenge that we are facing currently in STEM education. I will talk a bit more about these shortly. We had 5 presentations of researchers based in Brazil and 5 based in the UK in this seminar. The seminar was very successful, and we are now editing an ebook based on those presentations. The book's going to be edited by a colleague from University of Cambridge and myself. Now, we are already planning our new seminar that's going to happen probably in December after COP26. That's going to take place in Glasgow, and that's going to be focused on environmental and sustainability education. I mean, we all know how global warming has been like a global issue that's been discussed in meetings in all sectors of society, and we really need to bring this to basic education, to higher education, and to how we do business and how we deal with all the rubbish that we produce. We need to talk about CO2 emissions. So this is a very hot topic at the moment, and this is going to be our next seminar. If you haven't done yet, subscribe to our website. Please do subscribe to get all the news, all the upcoming events such as this one, and you can receive emails and subscribe and attend for free all of these activities and the events that we are organizing. As I said, we are so happy and proud of all the achievements that we've had in this very short period of 8 months of existence. But we do have a lot of challenges, and the main one is obviously funding. We are very fortunate to be sponsored by the British Council and King's College London. Without them, that would be impossible to do what we do. However, the hub has been growing exponentially and attracted the interest of more people who want to get involved than we can cope with. In the UK, we currently have only myself and the support of a part-time admin officer who run the hub. I mean, I'm very fortunate to have the support of Thais, our admin officer. She's brilliant, works fast, and is intelligent, can think strategically, but we need more time that we need to give to her or to all the brilliant people who could join the hub and help us to organize more events, to get in touch with people, to think through ideas. So we are desperate looking for sponsors who could have their names, their thinking involved with the hub. So if you want to sponsor the hub, please get in touch with us via email. You can use the email shown on the screen, STEM Education Hub at kcl.ac.uk. Drop us a line. We can arrange a meeting. If you're based in London, maybe we can have a coffee together, have a conversation, get to know each other better, talk about our dreams or ambitions. We can talk about what we have in common, and help the hub to grow. Okay. Yeah, that's my message for you. So let's move on. I hope you're still with me. I hope this has been interesting. I just want to look now very quickly, I promise, at some historical aspects of science education in England and in Brazil. I promise I will be quick, and I hope this is going to be interesting for you, even if you're not from the STEM education field. So when you think about your science lessons in the time you were in school, what can you remember from them? Looking at these two pictures, apparatus, models, maths, you making observations, what can you remember? Using the microscope, collecting data, drawing graphs, what can you remember? So historically, science education in the UK, Brazil, and other countries has sought to teach students the processes and the products of science. So by scientific processes, I mean how scientists work, the ways of reasoning they use, how they collaborate, the methods and techniques scientists traditionally use to gather data, to analyze them, to draw logical conclusions that are consistent with scientific theories and laws. You probably familiarize with what I'm talking about. And the byproducts of science, as opposed to the processes of science, I mean the established scientific knowledge, the taxonomies, models, theories, laws, facts, which have been developed or discovered over the centuries and are used to make sense of the technological world we live in, to explain natural phenomena and to predict how nature will behave under certain conditions. So traditionally, science teaching conveys that scientific practice is impersonal, motivated purely by conquest of knowledge, by discovery of the truth, devoid of values and interests. So much of this belief derives from the perception of the work of great physicists of the past, of how they dedicated their lives to working alone and painfully in laboratories full of apparatus to discover universal laws. So this is a very, in my view, a rather naive view of how science works. And science educators have more recently urged science education to address issues of social inequality and injustice in an extensive and transformative way. So I'm talking, for example, about the lack of representation of women, blacks, Muslims, and other social, ethnic, religious minorities in science, and how science has worked to reduce social gaps, if at all. I'm also talking about the immense social inequality that rich and poor live, and how science education has been particularly uninteresting for poor and black children, and thus served as a tool for maintaining inequalities. So many science educators can no longer ignore this elephant in the room. It no longer makes sense to talk about knowledge if there is no awareness of the pain and exclusion of so many human beings. So there is an educator called Derek Hodgson. It's a science thinker who has a huge influence on me. During my PhD, I read lots of what he wrote about, and he was very influential on what I do today. He said once that we need a science curriculum for people who work to reshape society along more socially just lines. We need people who will work vigorously in the best interests of the biosphere. And I fully agree with him. So we are still at the beginning. I know, you probably know that too. But there are already several research and teaching projects in the UK and Brazil that work on gender inclusion such as the one I mentioned before, um, the ambition and self-esteem of children from low-income families, and how to decolonize the science curriculum. So projects like these seek to make access to learning more democratic, more inclusive. And the STEM Education Hub supports this flagship of a fairer and more equal world with great enthusiasm. And I do believe that this will be the ideology that will prevail. Okay. I really want to leave this message with you. Now, I will move on to talk very quickly again. I think perhaps now it's something that interests some of you more than this brief historical account on STEM or science education. So I want to look at the curriculum structure and teacher education in England and in Brazil. I think now it's going to be even more interesting for you what I'm going to talk about. I'm very lucky that I had the opportunity to write a small pamphlet in collaboration with my great friend Rousseau de Carvalho, who is now at UEL, and we wrote this small account on curriculum structure and teacher education in England. And it's interesting that in recent years, both curriculum structure and teacher education in Brazil have signaled changes towards the frameworks that are currently used in England. So if you live here or live in Brazil and you are interested in how, teacher education and curriculum development speak between Brazil and England, I think that will be interesting to know. So look at this. Here we have the curriculum structure in England, okay, from early years education to further education. But I want us to look at this bottom side of this table, looking at secondary education and further education, which we also call secondary education, actually. So in England, secondary education is structured in the following way. From the age of 11, students start Key Stage 3 and finish Key Stage 4 at the age of 16. The Key Stage 4 is also referred to GCSE because at the end of this key stage, students do exams to get the so-called General Certificate in Secondary Education. In Brazil, this is equivalent to the ENEM, the Exame Nacional de Ensino Médio. So the Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4 are meant to have a humanistic curriculum, which means a comprehensive, accessible curriculum to all students, which educate them with the necessary knowledge and skills to be a citizen and prepare them, obviously, to further education. Now, from the age of 16, in the Key Stage 5, students choose to study around 3 subjects only 3 subjects in preparation to university courses. So, for example, an engineering candidate, a student who wants to do engineering at university, right? That student will probably choose physics, maths, chemistry to study in those final 2 years of their secondary education. But this is at the expense of not studying history, literature, and philosophy. That's why it's so important to have a very comprehensive GCSE. So Key Stage 3 and 4, they really need to do a good job in giving a very comprehensive, deep understanding of all subjects, as you will probably agree with me. Okay. However, look at this table. You can see many countries listed on the left. You can see at the bottom England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. You can see at the top of this table different subjects that are taught in secondary schools in those many countries. So this table was published by the Royal Society in a recent article. And we can see the secondary curriculum in Britain, or in England, not only in England, but Britain, because we also have, Scotland, Wales. It seems like an exception, doesn't it? in comparison to many other countries across the world, including, mainly in Europe, but also in Japan, in the USA, New Zealand, Russia. And the Royal Society has been worried about it, and they argue that if we want our young people to be able to succeed in a changing workplace, we need to make sure our schools and colleges are teaching them the knowledge and skills they will need. This should include the opportunity to study a wide range of subjects to a team and to develop valuable transferable skills such as communication, problem solving, and teamwork. Now, I have written an article in collaboration with two colleagues in Brazil about the reform of secondary curriculum in Brazil. My colleagues Glauco Silva and André Machado Rodrigues, thank you for the collaboration. So, I personally don't dislike the idea of narrowing the curriculum towards the last years of the secondary schools. I think I can see some benefits from it. But we make a criticism about the way the Brazilian government has carried out the reform in Brazil. I believe the Brazilian government shouldn't ignore critical analysis made about narrowing the curriculum and learn from the experience of countries like England, right? About what changes in the early years are needed before simply scraping school subjects like physics, chemistry, biology altogether for those who say want to do law, to study law at university. So my question is, when are these students going to study physics, chemistry, and biology so that they can develop knowledge and skills that will be necessary for them? So this is a concern that I have, and I think not only educators but the whole society should look into this more carefully. Even if you don't work with education and you work with, if you're a businessman that might thinking about the people who will be working in your company in the future, do we want them never to study any of the critical thinking that we learn in science? I think this is really serious, okay? And I want to leave this message for you. And please do read our article if you want to find out more, or ask questions and get involved, and let's talk about this. Now, moving on to teacher education. And I think, again, this is going to be interesting to many of you who are listening, I hope. In England, the PGCE is the most traditional teacher education course. It's a one-year course that leads to QTS, that means qualified teacher status. So in the PGCE, and it's important to pay attention to this because I will link this to what happens in Brazil, okay? So in the PGCE, trainee teachers attend university sessions and spend 24 weeks in school to develop their teaching skills. So they are supported by one university tutor and two school mentors. And all of these happens in only 1 year. But not forget that this is a PGC, that means a postgraduate certificate in education. So therefore, anyone in England who wants to be a teacher, so typically that person has finished their undergrad course in any subject, and then they decide to become a teacher. So this is just a specialization really on how to get to know the structure of the curriculum, many modern pedagogies that we use in England, such as pupil-centered pedagogies, constructivism, etc., etc. And as we will see shortly, this is very similar to the new teaching education approaches that have been developed in Brazil. Now hold your breath. So I think this is very exciting, and I think this is actually really, really exciting, but not without criticism, okay? So the Department for Education in England has developed proposals for a new international teaching qualification, which has been called the International Qualified Teacher Status. So in the words of the Secretary of Education, Gary Williamson, he says, and this document it's in the public domain, it's in the DFE website, anyone can access it. So I want us to build the strengths and reputation of our domestic teacher training and create a new qualification based on English standards and methods, which could be achieved in countries across the world. Our ambition is that these would give teachers around the world the opportunity to train to high standards and demonstrate their readiness to work in a range of schools worldwide. That's fabulous. Okay. The business rationale for this initiative is explained in another government policy paper called International Education Strategy, Global Potential, Global Growth. That's from February this year. So it's off the oven, and I will share that with you. The rationale is the following. The government set its ambition to grow exports as a share of the GDP from 30 to 35% in the 2018 export strategy. This international education strategy sets out how the education sector can help contribute towards this ambition. Since 2013, a rapidly growing global education market has created strong competition from other countries around the world. I welcome this initiative because I think that teacher education in this country is phenomenal. I've been working on PGCE courses since 2014. I'm proud to say I know it inside out, and it's truly remarkable, what we can do here to educate youngsters to become teachers. But as I said, it's not without criticism. I really don't want this program to be a colonial project, right? Decolonizing curriculum is very important, as I mentioned before. So I do hope that the government will talk more to universities and find out about how this sort of project could be expanded without really taking into considerations the local context, the local knowledge that already exists to implement these qualifications elsewhere. At the same time, I find this very, very relevant to the Brazilian context, because there, the program called Scholarships for Teacher Training, the PIBID, Programa Institucional de Bolsa de Iniciação à Docência, that's the name in Portuguese, that's from CAPES, and it was launched by the federal government back in 2007, and the main purpose of this program is to enhance teacher education through the integration of trainee teachers in the daily life of state-funded schools, with the support of school teachers working as a trainee mentor and university lecturers working as coordinators of the program. So as you can see, the PB is very similar to the way teachers are trained here, because they also have school mentors and university tutors. So clearly this is another example of similar curriculum structure in Brazil and the UK, which could be studied and developed collaboratively. So I'm very keen to get involved in projects like this. I think and all the sectors in society should also look into these and see how we can learn internationally. International projects between England and Brazil or UK and Brazil, because there is a lot in common. So I just want to leave with a final message that education is becoming so important in the 21st century. The world indeed has been changing very quickly. With we are having online education. We have universities and schools being affected by neoliberal ideologies that, even though I can see some benefits of it, I think we need to look into these more carefully. It's not people at university like myself who work with education. We are just not like annoying people who says no to everything. We want to understand and to prevent to prevent further gap being built between the poor and the rich. We want a more equal society. We want people to have access to education, to good education, and I believe that all of us need to be involved in this endeavor. So thank you for listening to me. I hope I haven't been too boring. And please ask questions, raise your hand, and don't be shy. Let's talk. And that's it. Vera, I want to thank you very much for your invitation, for your support for me to become a counselor at the Chamber. It's been a privilege to work with you. I like your thought-provoking questions and comments, and I'm very happy for you to accept me in the Chamber and put my name forward too. Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Thank you. I will speak more at the end, but let's hear first about all that are participating with us this afternoon. It's been fascinating listening to you, but to the questions now.
There is a question in the chat box from Virginia Franqueira.
Okay, so she's saying, I'm Brazilian, I'm a lecturer in cybersecurity at the University of Kent. Oh, sorry, I don't know if Vera, do you want to moderate the questions, or do you want me to read them?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, fine.
Ahead, just the way you're doing. Thank you for
Cool.
asking.
Okay, so I'm a Brazilian and a lecturer in cybersecurity at the University of Kent. I'm very interested in learning about cybersecurity, safety online, education at schools and college in Brazil, pre-university. Would that be within the scope of this STEM education hub? Could you help to put me into contact with people in Brazil who could give insights about this? Absolutely, Virginia. Please get in touch. I mean, if you can drop us a line using the email. So I'm not an expert myself in cybersecurity, but you can see how important it is to get people like you, an expert in cybersecurity, who's working here in the UK, who can collaborate with perhaps other lecturers in Brazil, or people who are working in secondary education and would like to develop teaching material or something that could be learned, digested, and implemented by teachers across the two countries. So please, yes, absolutely get in touch. If we can help you, yes, to get in touch with people in the area in Brazil, or even think about creating an event in which you could give a talk explaining what you do and how you could collaborate with other people. So the hub, it's like the name suggests, being a hub, is a place where people come together and meet. They learn about each other, they talk, they make suggestions, they come up with proposals, and then they go on to develop those projects independently. But we try to facilitate this kind of thing. So thank you for your question. Very good. If you want to ask other questions, Virginia, and just open your mic, please do.
Well, I would like to ask you a question.
Okay.
And if I may,
please.
It's about the system that they have here in the UK, in the schools, where they have tutors from a very early age. And children benefit a lot from that. At least in my days in Brazil, this was not offered. So could you comment a little bit on that, if this is part of the exchanges that you have with institutions in Brazil, if this is something that could be happening there, because I could see the benefits here in the UK. And this is, for me, has always been a clear difference between the system here and there. Could you comment a little bit on this, please?
Vera, I don't know why the first seconds of your question I missed. Can you say?
Well, it's about the tutoring in the schools. in the UK. It's something that children in the UK have from a very early age. And I could see with my own children how much they benefit from this. And I wonder whether in your exchanges with Brazil, if this is a topic that comes up and if it is considered. This is my question.
Good question. The tutoring that we work with is not really the same tutoring that you're talking about. Basically, what we do, we give support, direct support to the trainee teachers. So the student teacher. So those in Brazil would be to those who are doing licenciatura, right? So the support we give is to that individual, not to the support that children in school would receive directly. So basically, the teachers they are every week they have meetings with mentors in schools, um, and also about 6 or 7 times a year they have a long meeting with their university tutor, and university tutors and school mentors are in touch all the time, just to find out what further support that trainee needs, which areas of development they need to focus on. So, for example, something that we do here that is quite useful, we have a list of skills and knowledge that the teachers need to develop in order to gain the qualified teacher status. It's called the teacher standards. These are 8 standards in total that run from subject knowledge, curriculum knowledge, the ability to plan and teach good lessons, how to assess the students summatively and formatively. So if we find out, for example, that teacher is not doing assessment very well, we can give a focused support to that trainee teacher too. Okay, they've got a question from Anna Lubas. There was one question from Gabo too, but that was answered. So actually, Gabo says, I'm interested in learning more about technological transfer mechanisms and perhaps ways to partner up with UK-based startups to embrace larger challenges. I'm interested in learning more about technological transfer. Gabo, I might not have gathered your question too well, but please email me explaining in more detail what you mean. I don't think this is in our remit. I mean, I don't think this is something we could help you with very much in technological transfer mechanisms. We are very much focused on education. Okay. Not much on that, but please get in touch and we can see what we can work out from there. And Ana Luba says, I'm a director of Brazilian Portuguese. I'm a director of Brazilian Portuguese as a heritage language school, supplementary school in London. It would be very interested to have STEM education hub to help children communicate and interact in both languages using science as a tool. How can we know more information? Likewise, Anna, that is so interesting. I personally, again, would like to learn more about what you say. I mean, since the STEM Education Hub is focused on partnerships between UK and Brazil, and of course, we've got some expertise in supporting EAL students, but I'm sure you also do have expertise on that. But developing a bilingual program that could give better support to students who speak both languages, who might be studying here or in Brazil, in bilingual schools in Brazil too. It's something that could be done in my view. This is not an area that we've been focusing recently, but it is an area that could be incorporated in our list of activities. So again, likewise, please get in touch with us, and we can have a conversation about it. Gabo says, perfect, it's a very specific situation. In fact, I am already in touch with the Catapult network. Oh, I know some people from Catapult, and it's definitely a really, as far as I know, the Catapult is an amazing company that serves many other companies as an incubator, right? So you're definitely in good hands, Gabo. Hi, Arthur. Thank you for, that's from Anna Colombo. Hi, Arthur. Thank you for the excellent talk. Thank you very much, Anna. Do you know if there is any organization in Brazil similar to the STEM ambassadors? Is that kind of support that the hub can provide? Can you tell me more about these STEM ambassadors, Anna? Again, you can open your mic if you want.
Hi. Hi, Arthur.
Hi, Anna.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your talk, first of all. The STEM Ambassador is an organization here in England that people can join as a volunteer. So people from, let's say, a scientific background, a technological background, and then you help people in the school to, do projects and help with the scientific knowledge and help children to get involved. So let's say if I'm working in a company with science, I can receive children from schools, and then they will see what I'm doing, things like that. So I am as an ambassador here. So once you have your degree, you can apply to be a volunteer, and they post different kind of activities. So teachers in school will ask, oh, is there any ambassador that can help me with this activity? So then they get a real person that have a real experience, let me say like this, and they can talk to the children. And I know that's a huge organization around the country. There are different hubs depending on the region. So I was wondering if there is something similar in Brazil. I can send you the link if you want. It's just because it reminds me of what maybe you were trying to do with the STEM girls on STEM that you commented the workshop. It sounded amazing, and it's something that I know that that's kind of what the STEM ambassador is doing right now.
Very good question. I mean, the STEM ambassadors reminds me of the university ambassador scheme that I was the coordinator of this one that we had at King's until before the pandemic. With the pandemic, we couldn't carry on doing that. Maybe we're gonna resume it in the future. But this is a good question because I don't have details of similar activities in Brazil, but what I can tell you, it's very, very likely we have similar projects being run in Brazil because, interestingly, there is more happening in Brazil that we can imagine. So, do drop me the link of your of your STEM ambassador scheme and give me more details of what we'd like to do, or if it's just to find out more whether they are doing something similar in Brazil, or whether you wanted to compare results, to perhaps have a roundtable around it to find out more about it, how the two sides, the two countries could collaborate and learn from each other. Okay. Marley, thank you, Marley. Marley. I read your name in English. I came out like Marley. Okay, thank you, Anna. Please do that. If anyone would like to ask more questions, please do. Or otherwise, Vera, I'm also happy, and I'd like to thank everyone to listening to me again for to be here with us until now. That's really nice. Thank you.
Well, actually, Arthur, it is us. So thank you for talking to us about such an important topic and the Hub's agenda to promote equity and sustainable development in basic and higher education, as well as the sharing of good practices, is indeed very much to be praised. And promoting gender inclusion, fairer and more equal opportunities in the education sector are obviously essential topics. And I was particularly pleased to hear about the importance of those topics in the Hub's agenda. This is very, very important. Finally, it was also very good to hear about the involvement of your partners, including other leading universities and museums in Brazil and in the UK. This will certainly, I imagine, this will enable the exchange of invaluable experience between the two countries in the areas that you mentioned, including, of course, your agenda for the COP26 that will take place in Glasgow next November. So that's really very important. And last but not least, you spoke also about the challenges that you face especially as far as funding is concerned. And I do hope that the message will resonate with our participants today, because it is clear the benefits that can arise from the activities of the Hub for Brazil and for the UK.
Can I add further to this? If people are
Sure.
still listening to, I haven't mentioned, but I think it's important to say. I can't say much yet at the moment because it's still confidential.
Yes.
But there is a very great likelihood that the Hub is going to grow a lot, both within King's and with partnerships, very, very exciting partnerships with programs in Brazil. Again, I cannot give further details, but they'll be great for those who want to get involved with us from the beginning, to grow together with us.
Indeed.
So please consider helping us and get involved.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely. So to finalize, I would like everybody that has participated, that has joined us today, and I hope to see you all again in our next seminar, which will be about the growth of open banking and fintechs in the Brazilian financial and payment sector. Brazil, as we all know, has experienced a tremendous growth in these areas. And we will, again, as today, we will be hearing from a top specialist. They will be Simon Davis, Managing Director of eBanks, leading Latin America FinTech, and Pedro Heroles, from a partner at Matos Filho, a leading law firm in Brazil. And this will take place on the 22nd of July. So this is another top matter and another initiative of the Brazilian Chamber to disseminate knowledge about Brazil in the UK. So with that said, I wish again to thank you, Arthur. It was fascinating listening to you, and I hope to see you all again. Thank you very much.